Two.
Good afternoon, St. Louis, Missouri, Los Angeles, California, Boston, Massachusetts, Los Angeles, California, Las Vegas, Nevada, I should say. Also, Los Angeles, California, and I've said that twice. But also Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Charlotte, North Carolina, Memphis, Tennessee, Baltimore, Maryland, Scottsdale, Arizona, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Chicago, Illinois, and Kansas City, Missouri, home of the Black Archives of Mid-America. We're going to launch with the Missouri Black Human Congress for April the 2nd, 2022. I had to tell my wife, my belated happy birthday. Oh my God, that didn't come out right, did it? Yes, it was her birthday on April Fool's Day. And also, so was her nephew, and so was her brother. So they all on April Fool's Day. My name is Aaron Rose. Aaron Rose, your host and creator, along with Elder Alan Lyles. How you doing, Ray?
Fine.
Fine. And how's the family?
Fine.
And the choir director, I don't hear him singing in the background there.
Yeah, he's fine.
Okay, well I know that already. Okay, and also, beautiful. Not only he's our general manager, he's our engineer, Scott Owen. How you doing, Scott?
Too blessed to be distressed.
Yeah, well, right now, Scott and I are working on a couple of things. We got a new show coming up, and so we've been talking quite a bit this week. So I know we've been stressed somewhat. But we having fun doing that, though, right, Scott?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's called growth. So as we try to continue to grow here, and we are broadcasting live on Ferguson, USA, HotTalkRadio.com from beautiful North County, St. Louis. North County, St. Louis City, and Orland, Missouri, as we using technology to be all over the place. And we thank you for joining us, and we were about to have prayer with Elder Alan Lyles, pastor of the Walnut Park Bible Chapel Church, located at 5547 Lumen Avenue, 63120. We will have prayer with Elder Alan Lyles, pastor of the Walnut Park Bible Chapel Church, located at 5547 Lumen Avenue. We will have prayer with Elder Reverend Lyles, also our co-host of this beautiful program, Lunch with Missouri Black Human Congregation, and also the pastor of the Walnut Park Bible Church, located at 5547 Lumen Avenue, and also a good husband and also a community leader. Rev, how you doing, sir?
Fine.
What you got for us?
Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we continue to thank you for your wonderful gospel. How that Christ died for our sin, was buried, and rose again. And by continue believing to the saving of the soul, continue to make heaven your home before you sleep and after you sleep. Heavenly Father, we thank you. We are already seated in heavenly places in Christ Jesus.
Amen.
And Heavenly Father, we thank you that name is already written in the book of life. Everybody's name is in the book of life who's been born again. And Heavenly Father, we ask you to bless the sick. Can't forget the sick, Heavenly Father. Bless them all over the universe. And raise them up their own point in time, Heavenly Father, when you get ready. Because whatever you do, it's deservable. And Heavenly Father, we ask you that the Holy Spirit continue to convict spirits to be saved. Today, before it's ever too late, all over the universe, to believe the gospel, the death, the burial, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. You pass from death unto life before you sleep and after you sleep. And Heavenly Father, we give great thanks for that in Jesus' most precious name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that powerful prayer, Reverend Lyles, Elder Lyles. Okay. But now I think we're living in, as we were talking before we came on the air, that we're living in some crazy times, And,
yes, sir.
And then once we feel one thing is about to leave, whatever's about to take place is almost over, someone else pops up out of nowhere, So there's consistency. That we've been reminded that we gotta get our minds right and our hearts right, with our friends here, and also get right with God.
Amen.
So what you got, Real? What you got for us? What lesson you have for us?
I Harold, from last week, I got one more time to say this word. The resurrection.
Okay.
You remember? I'm gonna repeat it. The resurrection, the R means rejoiced.
Mm-hmm.
The E means everlasting.
Yes.
The S means Savior.
Mm-hmm.
The S means salvation.
Yes.
The U means understanding.
Yes, yes.
The R means righteousness. The R means real. The E means eternal. The C means Christ. The T means truth. The I means infinite. That means unlimited. It's all dealing with God. And the O means there's only one God. And the N means, and He's needed.
Oh my God, yes. Now, Rev, you know the rules, okay? You gotta do money one time.
3 times.
Yeah, okay, come on.
The R is rejoiced.
Mm-hmm.
The E is everlasting.
Mm-hmm.
The S is Savior. The S is salvation.
Mm-hmm.
The U is understanding. The R is righteousness. The R is real.
Mm-hmm.
The E is eternal.
Mm-hmm.
The C is Christ. The T is truth. The I is infinite. The O is one. And N is needed. The R is rejoice. The E is everlasting. The S is salvation. The S is Savior. The U is understanding. The R is righteousness. The R is real. The E is eternal. The C is Christ. The T is truth. The I is infinite, meaning it's unlimited. The O is one, and the N is needed.
You know, the resurrection has been it's been used, it is used, and continues to be used so many times, but I've never heard, like I said last week, okay, anyone take the time to kind of break it down, you know, and put some meaning to each syllable, each word, each letter in there. I want to thank you for what you're doing, Reverend. I'll say it one more time.
Amen. The R is rejoiced. The E is everlasting. The S is Savior. The S is salvation. The U is understanding. The R is righteousness. The R is real. The E is eternal. The C is Christ. The T is truth. The I is infinite. The O is one. And the N is needed. Now this lesson is we're in 2 Timothy, 2nd chapter. And I'm gonna read the form right over it. It said the path of a good soldier in the time of apostasy. Now, everybody always telling God, children, what they ought to be doing.
Oh my God.
But this script, this chapter gonna bring out what God's children supposed to be doing. So verse 1 says, thou therefore, my son, be strong in the grace that is in Christ Jesus. Number 2, and the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to to faithful men who should be able to teach others also. I'm setting an example. Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Jesus Christ. No man that wars entangles himself with the affairs of this life, which is talking about what's going on in this universe, that he may please him who has chosen him to be a soldier. So people stop telling God, people how to do. The scripture is telling us what God wants us to do.
Too many cooks, Rev, too many cooks.
Yep. And he goes to say, and if a man also strive for mastery, yet is he not crowned, except he strive lawfully. The husbandman that laboreth must be first partaker of the fruits. Consider what I said, and the Lord give thee understanding in all things. Notice I said, the Lord give you understanding. That's why you have to wait on it. Remember that Jesus Christ of the seed of David was raised from the dead according to my gospel, death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, wherein I suffered trouble as an evildoer, even unto bond, but the word of God is not bound. Therefore, I endure all things for the elect's sake, that they may also obtain the salvation which is in Christ Jesus with eternal glory. It is a faithful saying, for if we be dead with him, we shall also live with him. If we suffer, we should also reign with him. If we deny him, he also will deny us. If we believe not, yet he abideth faithful. He cannot deny himself. Of these things, put them in remembrance, charging them before the Lord, that they strive not about words to no profit, but to the subverting of the hearers. Study, talking to the leaders, to show thyself approval unto God, a workman that need not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. But shun profane and vain babbling, for they will increase unto more ungodliness, and their word will eat as do a canker, of whom is Hymenaeus and Philetus, who concerning the truth have erred, saying that the resurrection is past already, and overthrow the faith of some. Nevertheless, the foundation of God standeth sure. Have this seal, The Lord knoweth them that are his, and let everyone that name the name of Christ depart from iniquity. But in the great house there are not only vessels of gold and of silver, but also of wood and of earth, some to honor and some to dishonor. If a man therefore purge himself from these, he should be a vessel unto honor, sanctified, and meet for the master's use, and prepare unto every good work. Flee also youthful lust, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart. But foolish and unlearned and questions avoid, knowing that they do gender strife. And the servants of the Lord must not strive, but be gentle unto all men, apt to teach, patience, and meekness, instructing those that oppose themselves, if God, peradventure, will give them repentance through the acknowledging of the truth, and that they may recover themselves out of the snare of the devil, who are taken captive by him at his will. Amen.
Well, Rev, you said a mouthful there, so let's break that down a little bit, if you don't mind.
Huh?
You just said a mouthful there, so let's break that down just a little bit, if you don't mind.
Well, what it's telling you as a believer, and it's telling me as a soldier, that I must be obedient to God and nobody else. I work for God. I don't work for man. I don't work for my wife. I don't work for my children. I don't work for nobody. I don't work for the president. I don't work for the city. I work for God. And God only. And I don't owe no answer to nobody but God.
Well, you can't make it no plainer than that, Rev. You know, and I think a lot of people, should listen to what you just said, and just kind of put it in the content, and like I said, on the Bible is very, very clear, when it makes a statement, okay, when it's setting the tone for something. But unfortunately, most times we try to go in a different interpretation, make it be something else, okay, and not exactly what God meant it to be.
Yep, that's the man of God. I'm telling you what his soldier's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Look out! Woo!
Yes. Rabbi, well, I want to thank you for that message that you gave there, okay? And we will be coming back to that, later on in the show about how and what is being told us and how it's being, matter of fact, just being totally disregarded. Listen to Fowlkes and USA, HotTalkRadio.com on a beautiful, beautiful Saturday afternoon here in St. Louis, Missouri. Rain's on the way, but that's all. It is spring showers in the spring. Listen to Reverend Adam Lyles and Scott Owens. My name is Aaron Folks. Lunch with the Missouri Chamber of Commerce. Scott, take us out of here. known against St. Louis and around the world. You listen to Ferguson USA, HotTalkRadio.com on a beautiful, beautiful Saturday afternoon. Hope where you are the weather's nice and spring is springing for you. While we was out the air, we continue to talk about what Reverend Lyles scripture that he gave us, okay, and about the answer that what the Bible was saying. The word is clearly spoken about what it is he's saying and what it is, he wants you to do. And that's why today we have so many issues, okay, that people all got their opinion. I just gave an example. We were talking out there. A good example to look at in the Army, Michigan Army, Air Force, Navy, Space Corps, Coast Guard, Marines. Did I get them all that time, Scott?
I think you did. Space
Okay.
Corps, Marines, Navy, Army, Air Force.
Okay. And anyway, all those different branches of service, but they all have the same basic rules, and they all do the same basic thing over and over and over again, no matter where they are in the world. And so the Bible is very clear, okay, because the rules from the Bible was made long before we were even created. They have
Amen.
from the government, okay. So anyway, so that's why I said that's rules are made to be made to be followed, not broken. That's the thing. People, I just need to break. No. They're made to be followed for your own safety. And also, we'd like to continue thanking you for all your prayers that got us through the COVID-19. And the coronavirus. The Delta and the Omicron, and now the Omicron B2A. And I said, got us through it, but right now I got friends this past week, okay, that I know who recently came down with COVID-19. As a matter of fact, the assistant press secretary for the president, she just came down with COVID when they came up from the trip they took abroad, and also the press secretary who's leaving soon, she caught COVID. And if you look at people on TV, they're wearing these face masks, it's for a reason. So right now, I tell people caution to be on the side of how you can make sure that you're safe, because in some cases, this thing virus is moving very quickly. Not only just in the United States but also abroad. So we ask you again, please be careful. If you can, wash your hands. Like that's matter of fact, that's something we learned at home, and also we went to school. In grade school, wash your hands, and also face masks has become something that's almost. My doctor told me, wear your face mask, and you prefer to be safe than sorry, and I a lot of people who have thought it was over with, not quite true. And Vice President got his 4th vaccination this past week, and that's another second booster that's from Pfizer. And that's very important to think about that. That means that something is going on, and the president is getting that vaccine, something is going on, But also, as we progress here, you're hearing now that we are post-pandemic, and all of that. But I tell you, be cautious, because even now, the president is asking for more money now. As the funds begin to run out from the pandemic, and I think we need to look at that and see how we can be cautious, And now, you find it very interesting that a lot of cities in a lot of states, I know right here in St. Louis City and also in St. Louis County, although the pandemic is behind us, there's these municipalities and states, they still have money they have not spent. That was dedicated for people to be utilized during COVID-19. Because right now most people have gone through the hard times, and they probably either move someplace, live someplace else that's totally different than when they were then. And now the money is still being spent. No, not being spent, it's still being discussed how to be spent. So what are your thoughts on that?
Please repeat. I was doing something.
Okay, I was saying that, right now, most cities and counties across the country have money that was allocated to them during the pandemic, and the pandemic is over now, and they're still having money they're trying to spend, and people have since moved on, and business and going out of business and stuff.
The money is always spendable. People will always want the money.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not going to where the people that was always dedicated to go, But again, and also on that same topic right now, if in fact that you do come across, have a problem with COVID, if you have COVID-19, we got a number now that you can call 24 hours a day. To make sure that you can get services right away and you can be tested. Get tested. As a matter of fact, most people got test kits that they ask for. We got ours here, and also you got the information. Some places, they got face masks that you can go if you have those around. So right now, please utilize those things. And like I said, that site is COVID19.gov. G-O-V. So that way you can get any information that you need about the area that you're living in. If it's close to you, what's going on. As far as the COVID-19. But anyway, please be safe. And also, right now, we're not going to spend much time on this, but just got to talk about this briefly. This snap, that heard around the world with Will Smith. One, should never have happened. Number two, two wrongs don't make a right. First of all, and the joke was made, and they're both comedians. And number two, no, he should have been when he did the deed. He was asked to leave the theater. He should have left then. You know what I mean? And then, and otherwise, there would have been a whole lot of less conversations. But now, as this thing plays out, and I wish we may continue to play out because the media still want to keep it alive and well. Will Smith has resigned from the Academy, which he should have done. The Academy of Motion Pictures and Arts and Science. And I said, but unfortunately, this will continue to make news. And it's not good. See, in the case of Will Smith, he has a new movie that's already been shot. They paid over $115 million for the movie, okay, and it's sitting on the shelf right now. And it was supposed to release this fall. So right now, it's going to cost him a whole lot of money in a whole lot of ways.
I'm going to have to speak up on this one.
Go ahead, Scott.
It seems to me very hypocritical for Hollywood, who produces these violent movies all over the place.
Yes, Scott. Thank you.
Yeah, to condemn Will Smith, who basically, no matter what your take on it, he was trying to protect his wife or defend his wife.
Now, Scott, I agree with you totally, okay. If someone had offended my wife, there's a price to pay. And also, I'm glad you brought it up because it's hypocritical because even as kids, Scott, I know here in the St. Louis area, we all watch the Three Stooges all the time. Okay?
Well, sure you did. That was slapstick comedy.
Yeah, it was slap, okay? And also, you watch a lot of, most of your soap operas, okay, that you watch all during the week. You see these women slap, throwing wine in people's face. And it's acceptable.
Yeah, it's on all shows.
Yeah. I mean, so it's not unusual, okay? And I think I agree with you. It's hypocritical. I think for one that it just shows, okay, how unfair, and how unbalanced, the system is.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, when I saw it, okay, I personally thought, okay, that it was, like with a stunt, so to speak, because you know how the ratings for the Oscars have been going down over the years, okay?
Oh yeah.
And so sometimes they do stuff just to create, some excitement.
Yeah, and controversy is mode of the entertainment industry.
Yeah, and that's why I say, when I saw it, where Chris Rock moved back, but again, matter of fact, just the other day, even on Fox News, one of the commentators was trying to talk to, I think it was Mel Gibson, someone, no real good actor. He was talking about this movie coming out, and the host started talking about the slap, okay, and Mel said, hey, I don't want to talk about that. He said, I told you before I came on here, I don't want to talk about that. Let it go. I mean, that's why I said I'm tired of hearing about it. Yeah. I mean, because it was something that never happened before. Nobody had watched TV. You can't watch TV really, without somebody getting slapped.
Well, and the question is, what was it detracting from? Real news that it was detracting from.
Well, really, the only thing I can say here, Scott, it was hypocritical. Okay.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden they had some great movies. Even the fact that we won an Oscar for the story that was being told about the Williams sisters. It was a hell of a story. Okay, these two sisters, okay, excel. To the degree that they were the only blacks other than the late Arthur Ashe that got to those heights.
Yeah.
And I remember when they first came on the scene, how they were talked about, but he taught his daughters to withstand all the criticism and the racism going on and just play their game.
Yeah.
And he also shielded them, okay, from all the crazy as much as he could.
Yeah.
And he was criticized, and right now you cannot hardly watch a commercial on TV, watch TV. You got a picture of
Vanessa.
Not Vanessa, but Sabrina, is more on more commercials now. She's on Red TV. She's on the commercials with the apparatuses and stuff, and different other programs. And in fact, but she is disciplined, and this story was being told by Will Smith. Okay, how the father shepherd them, okay, to where they are now.
Well, sure.
And so I think that story, and also there's a story about for the first time, people who are deaf. That movie got overshadowed. So again, it was something, okay, that happens all the time, and all of a sudden they became hypocritical.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things is, okay, that it was two black men, okay, sure, Will Smith shouldn't have did it, okay, but he did it, and both him and what's his name,
Chris Rock
said, let it go. You know what I mean? But the reporters right now, again, we come to here, Scott, where the media is utilizing this as much as they can.
Mainstream media will do that all the time.
All the time, and right now there's no story to tell. Like the man, already it's costing him money. As a matter of fact, Chris Rock is making more money. As a matter of fact, he's coming to St. Louis here in a couple of weeks here, and the ticket price is almost double.
Yeah.
So right now, and that, but I'm saying, and the fact that he has a movie I mentioned early on that's coming out, was scheduled for sometime this fall that may or may not come out right now. They may move it back, but when it comes out, okay, it probably won't get the box office, Well, I won't say that, okay. It may not get initially the impact that they wanted, but eventually, you will make the money back, okay, that they've been producing it. But now that's something that's something that's been sticking in my craw, and that's why I say I'm tired of it, but again, they continue to talk about it, but they don't talk about it from one perspective. You know what I mean? In that fact, most people right now, I know traditionally, when women, would just slap people, okay, and no big deal. A man fully take it. And most of your soap operas, which I used to watch, with my mother years ago, slapping was a regular thing.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was back in those days. But anyway, that's how the media, how things run and stuff, But again, matter of fact, speaking of lawlessness, one of the things here that took place most recently, and I'm saying not this is lawlessness, something that took place where down in Florida, where a couple of months ago we were talking about almost the states that were passing all these laws that were meant to suppress black voters and people of color. And well, right now, one of the cases that from Florida, which had quite a few cases, one of the few changes they made, well, the judge already struck down, saying the government, Republican-led government were using this guy named subtle tactics to suppress black voters. And I think you're going to hear more and more about this over the coming years, because right now you have a lot of states, including Missouri here, still attempting to redraw their map from the last census. Now, I keep talking about this. Why is it important? Well, right now, here I give Missouri as a good example. Election filing closed this past week. Well, right now, most people right now in Missouri, if you're a state senator or you're a state representative, they draw the maps according to the census. Well, right now, the people who are running for office are not sure where the boundaries will be at. So they're filing right now, thinking, that the present boundary is going to be the same, but they know they're not going to be the same. And so now, how will this affect when the time comes? The person may have filed, and he may have been gerrymandered, for lack of a better description. The district is not in where he's supposed to live at. And that's going to create some problems there. And the same thing coming to your inner cities. When you have to do your municipal elections, also you got to draw the maps again. And so right now in Missouri, that's a big old problem. And now there are about 3 other states, at least 3 or 4 states, had that same problem. Now, what's going to take place in some of these cases? The federal courts will step in and then draw the maps where they want them to go. And so right now, that's something that's that's taking place. You're going to see more and more of that, and because a lot of the lawsuits were filed, and it takes a little time for them to go through the system, and come out on the other side. So that's expect that it's going to come, and also speaking of the courts, for the first time in a long time, Attorney General Merrick Garland made a statement this past week that was in regards to the January 16th insurrection that took place, that we all watched on TV, and I listened to a program the other day. Well, Michael Steele, who is the Republican chairman of the Republican committee, he said, well, right now, I want to know. He said, I watched it on TV. Now, you might run the world, and I want to know who it was that attacked my government. Who attacked, who attacked the place where I go to do business at. And have a Confederate flag, people having feces on the floor, breaking up, and all the money that was spent to repair that. So right now, people are now starting to get some sentences that took from that. And Merrick Garland has stated that something that people were wondering, where was he at? Was he listening? Well, he made a statement that people take to be kind of encouraging, that he hired another 100 lawyers, 100 new lawyers, to look at what took place before and after January the 6th. Because we all know that just wasn't something that took place spontaneously. That everybody just came there, with all the guns, all the things, whatever they had, and just decided, we're going to go to Washington today, and this is going to take place. So right now, this is a before and after. And I said before, you look at, all the things, even involving the Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, something that surprised me. And his wife is right now, she's been attacked unfairly in some cases, But right now, this past week, Mitch McConnell um, raised a point that he felt that Justice Thomas should recuse himself on some cases that because some of his white views and some things that they're looking at history that the cases that she was against, and that Justice Thomas went against also. So again, this thing is playing out. Will she go before the committee? Probably not. Probably will. Who knows? But right now, they have had over 800 some witnesses that come before the committee, and as this even included in that number, Jared Kushner, who was President Trump's son-in-law, and also was one of his top aides. So he's already spoken voluntarily right away, almost 8 hours, testimony. And so this is something that's going to continue to, generate interest and stuff. And so far, something I've talked to Reverend Lyles about, before we go on the air, Scott, you get a kick out of this. We all like Doonesbury. I'm a Quarto fanatic. Okay, I read them every day. But on last Sunday's Quarto with Doonesbury, they were talking about that they got one that talk about President Trump. And he was with this dictator, and the dictator asked him, said, well, Mr. President, I think you got a problem. He said, well, what's that? He said, well, if the election was stolen from you, and if you actually won the election, in 2020, you can't run for president in 2024. And the reason that is, people are aware is because the Constitution forbids you from running president three times. And so right now, with him planning to run for president and saying that it was stolen from him, okay, not kind of balancing out, according to what the law says. So again, this may be some things, some of the people who are running, Republicans running for president, take this into consideration. But again, I was saying, this is always a whole lot of stuff that goes on. And also, one of the fellow judges just handed down a 6-year sentence, for some people that was in the White House, one person that was in there and did some legal thing. And this is, again, starting to get closer and closer to where we're about to see this on TV. And it's going to affect a whole lot of people, who are presently, filed for office, and how they're going to be affected. Because as the law says, that any congressman, not any congressman, anybody that was involved in insurrection against the government, they have to be treated as a traitor. So again, that's what the law says. And so as this information comes out, I will say this investigation has been very, very thorough, and it's been consistent. And as how fair it would be, time will tell. And also another thing that is, I know you see it every day, day in and day out. In Ukraine, the war with Russia continues until the second month, and the U.S. peace talks are started to take place. And just this past week, Russia, for the first time, for all this time, Russia's been the aggressor. And in war, it's a two-way. Scott, you and Rev, been in the service, and I know you have, Rev, you're in the war. That, well, for the first time, Ukraine actually hit back and hit some oil reserves with some helicopter bombs. And now, for the first time in 70-some years, Russia had an attack on his own soil. And so right now, this war started almost 2 months ago, that Russia had said they were going to take over the state, the capital there in 4 days. And so far right now, it's not going that way. As a matter of fact, it's become even more dangerous because, Scott, people like you and I know, and that back years ago in Chernobyl, they had a nuclear plant. They still got a nuclear plant that was there in Ukraine, which is one of the largest, nuclear plants. Had an explosion some years ago and was shut down. Everything around it was shut down. Well, I didn't understand this when it happened when Russia kind of came up there and seized that plant And well, right now, the Russians are leaving there. In fact, they're running out of there. They're turning back over to Ukraine because a lot of their soldiers were reacting to the radiations that was material that was still inside, and that's not good for anybody, And with them leaving there, they're gonna take that back to their homeland, to their people and stuff. And so that's not at all good, from war. And also, we continue to hear about will China do anything, to try to speak about peace? Well, for the first time, China's come out and said they're all for peace. But at the same time, they also put out a little propaganda also, which again, this takes place. But I think right now, for people think this going to be a short war, no. Is Russia retreating? No. I think right now Russia has found out, Mr. Putin has found out that this was not as easy, and I think as long as this takes the Ukrainians. And one thing that I noticed, Scott, on TV, you and Real chatting on this, that most of the people that in Ukraine are talking, they don't seem to be depressed by war. They seem to speak very confident. They don't get their country back. What are your thoughts on that, Scott?
They grew up in the Iron Curtain, so having a war near them is not an odd thing. If it were to happen in the United States, we would probably freak out.
Right, yeah. Well, what's happening right now, okay, freaking out is that the people in Russia are probably freaking out right now that they had that they attacked their soil. I mean, Scott, Real, what's your thoughts?
That's a conflict. It's a conflict just like over in Vietnam. That was a conflict between the North and the South.
Mm-hmm.
A civil war. The North Vietnamese was against the South Vietnamese.
Mm-hmm.
And they put us in it, which is a conflict of interest. The United States had a conflict of interest because they want some of that money and that oil over there. And they had all these people killed for nothing.
Oh yeah. We all lost. I lost some family members over there, and a lot of friends. In fact, and the bad part about that, Real, that you mentioned it, that it's not so many people who died there. It's how many people came back home that was affected by Agent Orange and things that were taking place, post-mortem, PSD and stuff like that. That the government didn't want to admit that people were affected by this. Because most of our friends came home, okay, a lot of them, when they weren't the same person that left.
Right.
And war had that effect on people, and that's what I'm saying. I'm just looking at, these people, like Scott just said, that they're somewhat used to wars, over there, and this is something that's, I don't think, said it's going to go with place in the next couple of weeks or so. But I think that the sanctions that been imposed are starting to take effect, and I think it takes a little time for sanctions. When we say sanctions, that means these are custom things that they like to McDonald's. Everybody, Russia got used to having McDonald's. They used to having, the TV stuff, stuff like in America. They used to, fly when they want to go, and now, they're all being restricted. And I think right now, one thing that's going to resonate, the fact that these helicopters flew on Russian soil and attacked the oil depots and got away safely, without a shot being fired. So that's like a break in their defense. Would you think so, Real?
It's messed up. I just said that. It's messed up.
Yeah. Matter of fact, even the Pope right now, matter of fact, almost anybody looking at this, watching these people, the families being broken up. But again, that's what we're watching on TV. Why is this going on? Our country's still going on. A lot of stuff that's still going on. And Scott, we're going to take a little small break. Listen to Fowlkes and USA, HotTalkRadio.com, lunch with Observer Channel Converse. That's Real. That's Scott. My name is Aaron, folks. We'll be right back. Let's take it out of here. we're going to talk about St. Louis a little bit, as compared to other major cities. One of the things that's having a bad effect on St. Louis as a whole is young people getting guns and dying or killing each other. In the past week or so, the past couple weeks I should say, about 3 or 4 kids have lost their lives unnecessarily. But also, before I get in that, Scott and Real, I want to get your opinion on something that's kind of national news that St. Louis has been involved with, and it kind of ties into the gun violence. A young man that was in a ride, I think down in Florida, I want to say, fairly new ride, and it's one of those rides that goes up, a couple hundred feet, and there's drops. It's a free fall drop. And when the ride came down, he fell and killed himself. And naturally, this is always a tragedy when something like this takes place, okay, especially like 14 years old, whole life ahead of him. But one of the things that makes this real different is that he weighed almost over 300 pounds and about 6'4", and was just it was an 8th grader, and was about to, get ready to go to high school, was a football player, and also he played on the football team that was called the Bad Boys, and they were down there, for a spring break. And so now there's the ride is still shut down. They're doing investigations, and now there's discussion. Okay, should he be on the ride? First of all, let me say that the instructions, the manual for the ride says that he should not have been allowed to be on the ride because of the weight limit there. Yeah. And so now, okay, as this investigation continues here, this is going to continue to play out in the news. But my opinion is, okay, that he should not have been on the ride. Period. First of all, to me.
I don't know how he could have safely. I don't know how he could have safely. As a big guy myself, those rides are very uncomfortable. When you have to get that restraint over your stomach and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm on over your shoulders. I'm tall. I'm 6'4", and on those rides, some of them I'm uncomfortable. I weigh about 240, 250 sometimes. I like about 250, 260 in my height weight. And me personally, I do not ride on those rides myself. Okay. And even out here in Six Flags, in the Screaming Eagle when it first came out, I rode some rides out there a couple of years ago when we was on a campaign out there, with the union and stuff. But to me, it was bad judgment, on that, but at the same time, like I said, you're a big guy, and you ride those rides, it's uncomfortable.
The motorcycle called a Polaris Slingshot. I tried to sit into one of those. It's a 3-wheel motorcycle, not really a motorcycle, but it's like a carnival ride, and I sat in one once, and I was so what do you call it when you're in a capsule type of thing? It's claustrophobic. Like I said, first of all, it was irresponsible for him to want to go on the thing. Secondly, irresponsible for the ride runners to allow him. And thirdly, I mean, he's only less than a teenager, as a matter of fact. And what about his parents?
Well, so in the case here, okay, the parents were not there, and the football team was down there, for a spring trip.
Well, then the coach.
And so it comes back on the coach in this case.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so,
the figure authority.
Yeah, right. I'm saying that's one of the things that that just goes back and forth. Red, what are your thoughts on this, Red?
My thoughts on that is that number one, I was that young guy that was big as I was like that, I wouldn't have been wanting to get on there anyway. But
Exactly.
that was his way of doing that. And then the coaches was responsible for those children that when they was down at this park. So whatever happened, that was one of the weird accidents that happened. That the boy fell off of that. He couldn't. The things couldn't hold him. And when it turned upside down, he went upside down too.
Well,
that's one of them freaky accidents.
Well, remember, looking at the ride, I don't know if it flips over, but I know it's coming down about 70 miles an hour. And I could see with the force, Scott, you've been around airplanes in your career.
Oh, yeah, the G's on that. Man.
Yeah, the force, okay, when you slow down, that's a jerk. It's a sudden stop almost for you to slow down from 70 miles an hour, to land, to come down softly.
Well, ultimately, it's the managers of the ride who should know what the capabilities of their machine is.
Right.
I mean, the coach knows how much he weighs, but the people who are running the ride they know the people that it can get on, and they should take responsibility for that.
Well, I think right now, there's investigations going on out of Florida, department, anything like this, OSHA comes in, they're going to be investigations. But I think at the end of the day, and we are being professional, we are just talking about it, I guess armchair quarterbacks. I personally, like we all said, that the ride, the guy that was tucking somebody in, I'm quite sure that when he was, looking at his size, just him sitting down, that his stomach protrudes out even more so. And I can understand him wanting to be like everybody else, I want to ride on the ride, I want to, be like everybody else, experience that. But sometimes, it's that discipline, which again, I don't think it's so much a discipline. It should have been the responsibility you just said of the ride operator. And I saw people, I'm going to Six Flags sometimes to see people, they say, hey, you can get on this ride. Matter of fact, I was out in Las Vegas some years ago, okay, and there's this ride that's up on top of one of the hotels. You've been to Las Vegas recently, Scott, and this ride, okay, is on top of the hotel, and what it does, it kind of goes down, straight down, and it stops. Like you're on top of the hotel, and I'm saying, I didn't do that. It's like a bungee jump almost.
Yeah.
In this case, if you're going 70 miles an hour and you gotta stop the land in a couple of seconds, I call that the G-force, Scott. Am I saying that right there? The G-force.
G-forces, the gravity forces.
Yeah, the force of the gravity, is going to be very overwhelming, even for a small person.
Well, that's what gives it the thrill.
You're right. That's the thrill of it, So, but again, the lawsuit's been filed already. Now having said that, another young kid that was killed here in St. Louis again just this past week. Another tragedy. In St. Louis, we have a problem with guns and kids. Guns and kids. Now, I'm going to say this, and this is my personal opinion here. In St. Louis, most of the children that's going to Corner Ritter, and the numbers are up. Okay, almost 30-something, kids been shot by guns this year already. And that's over than were last year. And most times it's the kids seeing a gun someplace, and they shooting. As a matter of fact, one young man was killed because his cousin was playing with a gun downtown St. Louis. You probably heard about it in the news also. And this went live around the world, which he did. Had this pistol, had this crazy magazine on. I'm saying, my God, what she actually showed, what she's looking at, and she put it to her cousin's head and shot him. and killed him. And
Yeah.
then when she picked the gun up, okay, she shot her own self.
That's basically irresponsibility of the gun owner.
Right, okay, and I was talking to Rev earlier in the program. You know, one of the things that I will have to say here, the majority of these accidents are taking place in the black community because in the white community, you know, you don't see this because you know, the parents are responsible gun owners and they teach their kids about guns.
Well, didn't we have a guest a few months ago that was telling us about the people who are running these guns and these?
Right, yeah. We had him on Joe Adams, as a matter of fact. You know, he got to come back again.
Yeah.
He was on there. You know, as a matter of fact, the thing about this is that again, these kids up at 2 o'clock in the morning, Scott. 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, and they were at a party, you know, downtown, and their parents wouldn't even know where they were down there.
Mm-hmm.
And they were cousins. You know, and so that makes matters even worse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I'm saying, and so now the police department, the hospitals, the city of St. Louis, and also St. Louis County, they're all saying right now, when you get a gun lot.
No, they offer them free at the police department.
Well, the hospital right now, you can pick them up and see them all for free, you know, and you know, if you have a gun someplace, you know, kids gonna find the gun. I mean, but understanding, you know, they don't understand. Like the little young girl was playing with the gun, she didn't know what it was. I was telling Rep before we went on the air that as a kid, I was down south, you know, young kid, you know, and you have, you know, playing cowboy, you know, shoot them up, all that stuff. And not knowing, and you see people on TV, on the movies, you know, you see them bang, bang, you know, people fall. Well,
once again, Hollywood and violence.
Come on, here we go. So right now, okay, I saw this. I was in the backyard of my little friend, and he's up on a tree, Scott, on a limb, right? And and we were shooting back, and I shot bang, bang, bang. You know, little pistol went off, you know. And he didn't fall. And I shot him again, he didn't fall. So what I did, I got some bricks and rocks, okay? I don't knock him out of the tree. He wasn't on TV. His brother came out and said, oh, no, stop. Well, as far as I was concerned, on TV, he failed when he got shot.
Yeah.
But in real life, okay, it's not the same thing. And so it's a matter of me imitating. That's like now, kids see these people getting killed and shot, and next day they're walking around. But they're not able to understand that this is Hollywood.
That's not what they're told. That's not what they're taught.
They're not taught that, and I know in the black community that a lot of people I know who have guns. Okay, they don't tell their kids about they got guns or the dangers. You know, one thing I would say, I know in Kansas City, one of our members in the chamber, Bill Cole, you know, he had a 4-H club in Kansas City.
So that's yeah. So that's why we should train kids on gun safety at a young age.
At a young age, you know, and at the same time, he said, "Well, I got it locked up someplace." Well, most of the kids can pick a lock. Okay.
You still need to have education.
Yes, you know, and they need to understand that there's nothing to play with, and it's not a toy. And right now, they make the guns look like toys, look like real guns. Okay.
Yep.
You know, so that's making matters even worse. But I know in St. Louis, even on today's poster on the front page, they got their major organ at the hospitals right now saying, please, reach out to your kids, you know, and a lot of times,
Aaron,
yes, sir.
That educational part on them making the guns look real is to train these children up with what kind of weapon to start getting these before they get grown enough to start dying.
Yeah. That is true.
But the education's still not there.
Right. It ain't gonna be no education. Now they want the gun people want them guns to be bought.
Yeah.
And they want them to know what they look like, so they'll know what to go buy at the store. It's about making money. It ain't about safety to the people. It's about making money. Just like the system is about making money and not safety for the people. They act like they is, but they're not.
Yeah, well, amen and amen to that, you know, and double amen to Hail Marys, because you hit on the head. Right now, the gun makers could care less. There's no manual. They do have manuals, I should say, and you can get training. Matter of fact, here in Missouri, we always ask backwards on stuff. There was a time in Missouri for you to get a gun permit, to carry a gun. Well, that means you had to go someplace. Concealed carry. So you had to go someplace and get some training, on the safety, how to use a gun. Well, Missouri decided to change the law and make it anybody can get a gun. There's no training, no license needed. Well, and to show how unorganized that was, the agency that was designed for training was upset because the numbers, people who had gun training stores, and they were losing money, and it didn't occur to them that the law had changed. And so again, training here in Missouri, is not even an afterthought. And now we're paying that price.
That depends on who you are, Ira. As a parent and a gun owner myself, I would always get training for something like that.
Well, Scott, that's why I come in here and I'll be very honest with you. And I said a couple of times, in the black community.
In the black community, okay.
Okay, in the black community, rarely have I ever heard seen a parent telling a kid, about how to use a gun and how to use a gun properly.
And that should be changed.
Yeah. I mean, so there's a disconnect, a major disconnect, and right now, most times, the kids are finding guns, and in some cases they tell you, how the gun, not loaded. I mean, but again, most people have the guns loaded, ready to go in case of emergency or something.
Right.
So again, it's a big disconnect.
Yep, there is.
And I think the more that's what we talk about today, and not only in St. Louis, but the same thing around the country. That more and more the kids are losing their lives, and a lot of times they're being shot, and we don't hear nothing about it.
This is true.
Until a little kid dies, then it makes the news. I mean, but I think they had about 34, 35 so far in the hospital. But there's one hospital report, children's hospital here. That's what they reported. About 35. Well, we got about 3 or 4 kids have died so far. Well, those 4 making news. The other 30 didn't make the news.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's something that we need to look at, and not only just here in St. Louis, around in Chicago, around the country. And another, this past week, jobs. In March, our economy has produced 431 jobs, which is slightly less than they had in February, where they have employers hired 678,000. Now, the employment is down to 3.6. We're the second month in a row. And right now, we have more jobs than the people who say they don't want to work. And you notice the difference. If you go to most drive-thrus, most restaurants, at McDonald's, in my neighborhood, they don't have walk-ins now. Most of the times, you have a drive-thru because the kids, young people who work at those places are getting better paying jobs at other places. Because, and so right now, I told my wife just the other day, that, she was talking about this place where I wanted this, it was a long line. Well, get used to that. And so right now, there's jobs out there, but they're not paying at the level, compared, other stores, like $15 an hour, $15 an hour. Where there's a storyline now, and while in that same vein, I'm embarrassed to say this. I talked about it before. Here in Missouri, our school teachers only make $25,000 a year. And they are the lowest paid teachers in the whole country.
Yes, we do need to give our teachers more pay.
Yeah, yeah, and right now their jobs are more dangerous in most cases than ever before, because you have more kids now bringing guns to school, bringing knives to school, and coming in there, jumping on the teachers. We had a rash of that and stuff. And then to make matters even worse, in some cases, the schools used to have what we call officers who would be there, from the police department, to make sure something happened, for patrol, for
A
safety.
safety order officer.
Safety officers. Well, those guys, not just guys, officers, I should say, are now being removed from the schools, which makes it even more of a threat, for the teachers. Now they call for help. And matter of fact, the government had asked for a job increase up to about $38,000 a year, mandatory, and which made good sense, okay. But one of the state representatives, legislators, I should say, in Jeff City, the state council said he didn't think, okay, they should get that, they should get the pay. Well, what that means in plain English, Missouri falling further and further and further behind when it comes to kids getting educated. Because without an education with good teachers, I mean, you're gonna fall back. Less math. And right now, that means less teachers. That means less improvements in courses, computers, and stuff like that. But you would think that the state legislators would think, okay, that they would want to do that. But here in Missouri, again, our legislators, they changed the rules a couple of years ago, which I thought was a bad idea. They put in term limitations. Most of our state representatives who can go to Jeff City right now, they're there for 4 years as a state rep, 8 years as for a state senator, 2 years, 4 years, 2 terms. And the people that's going up there, they're only there to get paid themselves, to get a pension for life, so to speak. And they're not concerned about the people themselves, who they're legislating. Right now, we still been trying. The law says that people now in Missouri should be able to get assistance, from the state. And matter of fact, the people voted on it twice. They asked for it, and they still refused to put money in the budget for it. Even the governor asked for it, and they took it out the budget. So these are just some mean-spirited people here in our state. That's and our legislators, and the way they approach this stuff. And I say that because I work with politicians all the time, and I say to them, not just on the air, that this is they need to be more sensitive to the people that they represent. I mean, and even now, I mentioned to you guys a while back on the show about redistricting. Well, the problem that we have redistricting is primarily in St. George County, which is one of the fastest growing counties in Missouri. You have a couple state representatives, senators there who want to run, who's being forced out of office now, and they want the district in Jefferson, in St. Charles, drawn for them better because they want to run for the county executive in St. George County, and they're trying to make sure that the balance they have there is suitable for them.
Well, isn't that normal?
Hmm?
Isn't that normal for somebody to want things to be more suitable for them?
Yeah, but the bad part about this guy, the bill was passed in January, for the congressional districts that were drawn, and in this case here, in all fairness, we presently have 2 Democrats and 6 Republicans representing the state of Missouri. Well, the agreement is that they were going to continue to have 6 and 2. Well, one of the 3 of the guys running in St. Charles don't want that to be 6 and 2. They want it to be 7 and 1. Now the majority in the House and majority in the Senate both agree that should be done, but they got the thing called filibuster. Heard that before, okay? And so, and that's creating a problem here that they cannot vote on it. As a matter of fact, we was voted out the Senate and they still refuse to vote on it. But again, I think we need to pay more money to our people. And also, this past week, up in Staten Island, New York, the Amazon workers there voted, let's see here, 2,654 in favor and 2,131 against the union. And for the first time, Amazon processing facility has been, now we have a collective bargaining union. And this is the first time in their history, and right now there's, and I say this, that this was an uphill fight, and what happened here made this most noticeable was that these guys here did not have any union help in their campaign against Amazon. There was any union that came in and asked them, for assistance. And I know for my campaign I ran against years ago when I went to IBW to organize it. They ran a campaign against Charter Communication. In matter of fact, to show how unfair these campaigns can be, Charter spent over $6 million. $6 million, okay, against myself and another young man who was my partner in our organizing campaign. $6 million. They brought in all type of people from New York. And they have firms called Union Busters. And so I know already, and they put signs, they threaten the people and all that kind of stuff. So you'd be surprised what goes on behind the scenes. And in most cases, the unions, people are only asking for, like in the Amazon, everything is automatic. Everything, whatever you do, it's it's a computer. You're on a time clock, so to speak. You get a short amount of break off. You got to run through that. In the hours and the money that you make, in the conditions that you're working in, and that's the whole thing that unions do when they come in. They give you a chance, to be able to, have a safe workplace, and get a decent wage.
Well, that's why you work at a place.
Yeah. And so right now, Amazon said they're going to appeal, which is naturally. But right now, there's a second union in Amazon's location down in Alabama, where they lost the first time, and I think they tried the second time, and right now the votes are being counted right now for them to, and they're doing a second vote because the National Labor Relations Board came in and found out that Amazon had done a lot of illegal stuff, campaigning against. I know when I did my campaign, they would take the workers, the supervisors, and have meetings and tell them, don't talk to Ira, don't do this, like I said, it's all our campaign, when we go through stuff like that, But right now, at the end of the day, about 8,000 people in the processing plant, facility, I should say, will be a great change. And also, unions are sort of have a comeback, mostly in Starbucks now. In the St. Louis area, we got another couple. We just became union here in our community. So again, this is something that's affected people's everyday lives, and how they working. Because most people don't understand. You spend most of your time at work. They working 10-hour days nowadays. It's a normal work schedule now, and most of you get a little overtime on that. So if you got a 12-hour day, you spend at least an hour and a half going each way. So then your whole day has been taken, right, Scott? Real?
Yep.
And work, so right now, giving you a little, having a little less stress at work, okay? And also, a lot of the jobs don't want to give people, their benefits. And that's another thing, because benefits are more important than ever before. Because people are having more diseases out here nowadays. There are more things going on. Going to the doctors, oh my God. And now, before you go to in a hospital, first thing they'll ask you, do you have insurance? You know what I mean? And there was a time that, by law, they had to treat you But now I think the law says if you're in really, really bad shape, they got to get you up to the point that you can leave. You know, I mean, and I know a lot of people who've been in the hospitals, you know, they can't wait to get them out of the hospital. You know, and nowadays, you know, most surgeons nowadays, when I was a younger person, you had surgeries where you been in the hospital a couple of days. Nowadays, you have more outpatient surgeries. So again, the medical benefits is something. Matter of fact, I talked to a young man out in Chicago just the other night, and he was saying, folks, for the first time, you know, my wife, I got my job for school, but I actually had a job with benefit. He was, matter of fact, he was in his late 20s. He said, that's my first job I ever had benefits before. I mean, so again, you know, benefits are very key, and that's why now you see so many jobs out here nowadays. So right now, people right now are making choices.
Ira, there's still at least one job that has the benefits that you want.
Well, what's about that, Scott?
Military.
Oh, yes. Matter of fact, you know, there was a time in the military, they took everybody in the military.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? Those days are gone, you know.
Well, people can still go into the military and get education, travel benefits, and everything.
Oh yeah, not only that, they get benefits. You know, the GI plan, about houses.
Yeah.
And that's one of the benefits they get.
Yeah.
And another benefit you just mentioned there, okay, is the education benefits. And that's key. Well, you get the benefits while you're in the service, that you have training. And matter of fact, nowadays, there was a time that you just stayed there and just stayed there and stayed there. Where now, okay, after they test you, you got to be at a certain point, certain level to stay in the service nowadays. And so, but they give you training to move up, to educate yourself. Or when you get out, you got education benefits.
Yep, you get education. You also have a career for 4 years that is very stable unless you really mess up.
Yeah. You know, and right now, that's more so than ever before is important, because out here with the job markets, and something else, Scott, that we haven't talked about in the job market. After the pandemic, a lot of corporations have downsized. And what I mean by that, people started working from home during the pandemic. And so that meant, the offices have lawyers building a lot of cubicles and what have you. Well, those people, matter of fact, even Amazon, not Amazon, I'm talking out in Silicon Valley, out there where a lot of those computer companies out there, Apple, places like that, they still haven't called on people back to work. And in some cases, they say you can continue to work from home.
There's nothing wrong with that, as long as they're still giving a good wage, a decent wage that they can live with.
Oh yeah, well, I know I can say it personally. My daughter was out where she lives in Boulder, Colorado, and they told her, okay, that her job is now that she permanently can work from home.
Yeah.
I mean, and there are more and more places doing that nowadays.
Yeah.
Because really the corporations, out there, they're saving more money. They're saving money on, office space, utilities and overhead and all that stuff. So
yeah, you can expand your business now because your office space is the world.
Yeah, and not only that, Scott, when they work from home, that cuts down also on the benefits they have to pay for child care.
Yeah.
Because I was surprised, I've been surprised for years how much child care has gone up.
Oh, it's expensive.
Yeah, to keep a child, and right now with people a lot of times working extra hours, and nowadays I've been told if you're late getting there, there's a charge. If you're late getting there, for the child being picked up and stuff.
Yeah.
Which I can't understand because they got to have somebody stay around later and stuff, so the cost is being passed on, And speaking of costs, boy. People, so we and I talked about this the other day. I think one of the things that back in the crash, the stock market crash in 2000, I mean, that's not true, in 1929, was very much talked about all the time, for years and years and years ago, about people jumping out of windows, how bad things were. Well, I think personally that as we look at what took place back then, they had the flu stuff that took place in 1919 that killed a lot of people, and then before this pandemic came along and surpassed that, that the economy teetered for a couple of years before they got into that depression. So right now, as we look at our history about where we were nowadays, we are seeing now that the prices of gas, the prices of everything is going up.
Yeah, of course.
And so, you gonna say, Rip?
I said that.
Okay. Well, I'm saying so right now, as you look at, if you're a restaurant, and a lot of restaurants are going out of business because, they cannot afford, the supplies, like if you're a bakery or if you're a restaurant, a thing that you got to have workers, to cook, have workers to serve your people. And that's why I mentioned early on that most of your fast food restaurants now shutting down the in-room, dining room dining stuff because they cannot get enough people to work inside, and the drive-through. So now you're seeing more and more drive-throughs with long lines, trying to get in. Because a couple weeks ago, I've been seeing this a long time, Scott. You may try this, the Culver's restaurants. I've been watching them on TV, and I've been wanting to try. So my wife and I was up in North County a couple weeks ago, and we said, let's try this out. Here's the Culver's. Boy, they had a line around the block.
Well, Culver's is pretty good for a burger place. I'm not a big burger guy, but for a burger place, Culver's is pretty good.
Yeah, well, we wanted to go, but the inside was closed, and they had a line around the block.
Well, then come on down to Arnold.
Well, that's Scott, when I come visit you, and see, in our case, if we went to this restaurant, the food would have been cold, a good fish sandwich, was reheated is not the same.
I've never had a bad fish sandwich from Culver's.
Well, Scott, see, now you make me want to go Culver's even more so.
Well,
now.
then come on down.
Well, okay. Well, see, I come down there. I'm gonna give me a fish, or you come back and eat at your house. I ain't gotta drive. See, if I brought it back home, okay, it'd be cold.
Well,
but since I can eat at your house, I'm in good shape.
Well, why not?
Well, I'm saying that's one thing that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna convince you is, can I give me to go back Culver's,
Yeah. Well, the restaurant is open. I mean, you can eat there.
Okay. But see, that's even better. I'm up in North County. Most of the restaurants, even around my neighborhood here, they're very few, and that's what I'm saying. That's because, again, the economy of the job market, people right now, saying the pay, and for the amount of work that you put in, is not workable for them.
I understand.
But my point is that with the gas prices, and most recently this past week, the president has started a program where they're going to tap into the national reserves, for oil, so many gallons a day.
I think it was 1 million gallons a day.
Yeah, 1 million gallons a day, and that's over like a 6-month period. Well, ideally, take a little time for those prices to come down. And these are some of the lessons that we have learned, from what took place years ago, how we can combat that. And I think right now, a lot of your grocery stores, you go in there, you got shelves, some of your major supermarkets, the shelves are not filled up.
Yeah.
I mean, there's supply and demand there, and then things that you do have, the prices, is like unbelievable, and I'm a fish person, and my wife, we got some fish yesterday, and I went by, matter of fact, we was going to try to call it in, and have it cooked couldn't do that because they was backed up on that. So the matter of fact, last night, my wife's birthday, I did assist her in cooking us some fish last night.
There you go.
Yeah, so you always gotta be good to your wives. Matter of fact, in the Bible, I said Proverbs 31. You still gotta be not on that verse in the Bible. I would you be nice to your wives. Because they're nice to us. So right there.
Bill.
Well, yeah, I don't know how many fish fries you're aware of, but there are a lot of fish fries around St. Louis. And one I go to is the American Legion down on Creve Coeur, right behind Bristol's there. They have a good fish fry every Friday.
Yeah. Well, around here, we have a couple of Catholic churches that have their fish fries on the weekend also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but see, really, we had tried that, okay, but we went and bought us one of those little small cookers, fryers.
Oh, the air fryer?
No. We got that too, okay, but it's those little fryers you drop your fish in the grease.
Okay.
And we bought one of those years ago, and so for the most part, that's why our chicken and stuff like that, you drop it in there, a couple of minutes, it's crispy, and it floats,
There you go.
and it's ready to go, So that's how we pretty much, do the fish, and the chicken and stuff for the most part, And sometimes we can also bake it, but most of the time we fry it,
Right.
So that's. But now, in some places, Scott, everybody can't cook fish.
This is true.
Okay, and nothing more frustrating. You get back home, you got a burnt piece of fish.
Yep.
And then you got to make the decision. I'm not gonna take it back. I'm gonna keep it. But those are some of the small things that we have to deal with. And also here in St. Louis politics, a lot has been going on there. Hold on one second. Chuck, how you doing, sir?
Good afternoon.
How's your day going, sir?
Doing well, thanks.
Yeah, okay, that's a good thing. Okay, well, we got good luck, Chuck, on the telephone.
I do, Chuck. Hey. Praise God. It's a beautiful day.
Yes, it is. Any day above ground's a great day, Chuck. You know that already.
Scott, hello. How are you?
How are you doing, Chuck?
I'm good.
Good to hear that.
Chuck, the day you came in on, one thing two things we're discussing here today, because I guess didn't call in today, but we were talking about here in the St. Louis area, there were two things that one made national news was a young man that was in Florida on a ride, and he weighed about 300 some pounds, I think about 6'4", and it was a ride that had dropped. And then, at 70 miles an hour, and it stopped, okay, and he fell and killed himself. Are you familiar with that?
I am, as far as the news.
Yeah, okay,
I'm aware of it, but I got nothing but questions on that.
Yeah.
Okay, what are your thoughts on that then?
That something obviously something wasn't right. They're saying the harness or something had locked, and it was in locked position. And the owner, I think they're called Slingshot or Snapshot or somebody that owns the thing. They had him on the news, and he said that if the lock, it's kind of like a seat belt, but it's more like a harness. It says if it doesn't lock, the seat won't. The ride won't move. It won't work. And it's like, obviously something happened, That's terrible. That's horrible. And it's down there. It's in Orlando. That's where that's Disney World. It may not have been at Disney World, but that's what they're capitalizing on. And so they were right to shut it down and go investigating. But first of all, I don't like any of them rides myself anyway. You know what I mean? And that's part of the reason. It's like somebody, a car goes flying off a roller coaster or something, and it's news for a minute, and then it's kind of like, oops,
You're gone.
It's like, oops, oh, my bad. Something went wrong. Somebody's dead, or it's like, it ain't the thrill for me. For me, the thrill is gone. That don't excite me.
No. I'm not one of those persons. Scott, as we talked earlier, I'm not one of those persons. And Scott and I, I'm 6'4". Scott is not as tall, but he's kind of heavy, as he says, which he is.
I'm a big guy.
He's a big guy, and like he said, he gave an example where he's trying to lock him in, okay, he's kind of crunched up, and trying to fit into the ride.
I couldn't breathe at Six Flags on one of those rides.
Okay, yeah.
Especially when you put some G-force
That's
on
a
you.
fact. That's a fact.
Put some centrifugal force and some G's and all that. So Ira, what you think? What you thinking?
Well, my thoughts were that the operator, at fault, and because I think they looked at the manual that when the guys being trained, what are the rules?
Yeah, that's what they're trying to say now. He exceeded the rating, the weight rating, the tested weight limits or something like that. They tested it. They're gonna say, well, it was designed to be this or that. There wasn't no sign there.
But just Chuck Norris one day in the skill there, to wait anybody to get on the ride. You know what I mean? So again, to me personally, okay, the operator that was locking him in, and I had problems, myself getting on the ride, had to kind of move a little bit to get me secure. You know what I'm saying? And this kid was like over 300 pounds, and they're 6'4" and only 14 years old. And so to me, if I was the guy that was responsible for locking him in, I would say, brother, I think you're a bit heavy for this ride. Doesn't seem common sense.
Well, but had the operator been taught the manual or had some rules, maybe he would have caught it. Or at least let the caveat emptor. Let the consumer beware and say, if you're over this height or this size or this situation, you are taking this at your own risk.
Yeah.
I bet they put a sign out there now because they're gonna get sued. I mean, they have to.
Well, they got a crump on the case, so they know they're gonna sue them. But in fact. And the guys from here in St. Louis, and he said across the river here, but you mentioned Chuck, the G's. This ride drops at 70 miles an hour.
I saw what it does. I was like, I just like maybe that's some people want to go get scared, get the bejesus scared out of them or whatever you say, however you say it. But I'm like, man, come on now, because. As nice and as much as we want to trust society and all that, have we seen more corner cut, or breaking of the rules, or the rules not being enforced, or the standards? But this happens every year. Unfortunately, this time, I mean, maybe fortunate, unfortunate, but it usually is someplace like. A Disney World affiliate or somebody in the neighborhood. I mean, those are big, expensive rides. This ain't the Power who just came to town.
They're very expensive, very expensive. And Chuck, another thing we were touching on that he also played on a football team, and he was down there with his football team. So the parents were there, so the coach. But again, having said that, we ducked out until, here in St. Louis especially, I'm not sure about D.C. and your area where you live at, but kids are being killed at an unusually high rate from killing playing with guns, by gunfire. I mean, we had at least 4 in the last month, where we had two young kids. A young lady shot her cousin in the head with a pistol, and she dropped the pistol and picked up and killed her own self. And there's the other gun where somebody had a shotgun and went off. And we were talking that one of the things that most of these killings are taking place in the black community, where there's no teaching about gun danger, gun safety, and then in the white community, these guys wholeheartedly agree that as gun owners, they are taught and they teach their kids about danger of using guns. And in St. Louis now, they're offering gun locks. They got all kind of things. But we have had 4 kids killed just inside, 3 or 4 in the last month. 35 kids that go to the hospital with gun wounds. So how's that up in your area? And that doesn't include, okay, the kids who are playing with guns. That doesn't include the guns, kids in the neighborhoods being shot up in gang wars and stuff.
Well, I think this is a broken record. We've been going around and around about the same thing about guns and availability and all that, and so man, it's the number one reason people dying, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of I call it silliness, but there's more of a clinical term that if you didn't have a gun and somebody scuffed up your shoe or bumped into you or cut you off in traffic or whatever, if you didn't have a gun, you wouldn't be shooting. And the accidents is part of the lack of training or, is the discipline. Now, on the other hand, if this thing in Ukraine kind of showed that
Second
it's
Amendment
possible
is for a
somebody could
reason.
invade you. Yeah, I mean, and you want to have a gun the day you need it. But man, are we ever a violent society?
Well, Chuck, you brought me into the subject. I've been waiting for you to get on the line to talk about the Ukraine situation there. Okay, how well, for the first time that Ukraine hit back in over a month, that the Russians hollered, and you hit me. When you brought up my whole country.
One day, the full story's probably gonna come out. One day.
It's today.
It's a lot of stories to this thing. Somebody was filming a Russian oil tanker pulling up into, I think it was Los Angeles, in the harbor or somewhere. They put that out there. On the day they say, well, no, we weren't depending on, we weren't doing this. Shoot, it's pulling right on up. Then this whole thing about President Biden, man.
You mean Hunter or what?
Yeah, the whole thing about, how much money did the Chinese pay?
Yeah.
If he's on the board of a Ukrainian oil company, but he's also got some money or something that came from Russia, and there's this kind of theatrics that, oh my God, we're back in Ukraine, but no, you can't use those fighter jets because it might escalate. But we gave you the missiles that just about gave you what do they call it, airspace? Closed air zone or whatever they call that thing. No fly zone. Yeah. So we gave them the javelins and the stingers, and they got some ICBM or something. They got some missiles that that'll be very effective, but still, we're saying one thing and doing another, and then this whole thing with NATO. As Poland said, we'll give them the planes, you got them. Let's go, let's rock and roll, we're ready to go. And they were, oh no, we don't know about that. Man, there's so much game going on here about what's the truth. And so now they're going to release, what is it, a million barrels a day or something of the reserve?
Million.
doing that out of pressure. You know, so it's that's what I'm saying. There's more stories going on behind the scenes of what's happening.
But Chuck, to me, okay, I know what they're saying that the United States does not want to engage with Russia, but at the end of the day, at some point, if you slap me side the head, okay, I want to slap you backside the head. I don't care who you are. I mean, and right now with the United States having all the missiles and all the things, to me, if Poland wants to provide the jets, give them the jets. Let them protect themselves. And I know right now, and I know that Biden is saying, no, we don't want to go to war, but one thing was said the other day, that a lot of the people in NATO, some of them are also holding back. It's not just President Biden always saying that he don't want to do things, but he's trying to keep the coalition together. But to me, at the end of the day, somebody, to me, they need to start. Ukraine is being overly surprising in the field how they've been defending themselves.
You weren't expecting it. Nobody was. It was kind of a wink and a handshake that, okay, Putin, we're going to let you make your move, but you're just going to go and push your border in a little bit further. Not all this is going on, but, I mean, Putin's got, there's two sides to every story. In this case, it might be 360. Because Putin's saying, hey, y'all, I ain't crazy if y'all don't have to not report me or try to make it out like that, but you got to listen to why I'm doing this. And that story you can get now. So
one thing, Chuck, is that nobody has told the United States that we're actually supporting biolabs.
That's what we're saying and coming out, and we've been doing that because I really believe all the contracts and the signed checks and all that. That's really where COVID started out of a laboratory in China that had been moved from the United States. The research activity that it was doing originated in the United States and got dangerous to where they said, well, we're going to pay you, but y'all can roll it over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's Chuck. If you recall, and we got in our library, archives here, that you were the first person, okay, on our air to report COVID activity in this country, over in China, that was coming this way. And I know I clearly remember we was in the studio that day, before we kind of started, not being in there, that we had a Lysol can, Scott. Remember that you and Real? That we looked at the can and said, "This coronavirus right on this can. It's been around a long time."
Yeah, it was. Yeah, over 20 years ago was it? Whatchamacallit, patented by Mr. Fowlkes.
Yeah, and in that, it started in China, and right now, China's already shutting down again over there. It's been going on, and right now this Omicron B2A it is having an effect. I know I got several people that I know in the last couple of weeks, okay, who have contacted COVID-19. And it's not as people saying it's going away. I don't think so. I don't think
no, it ain't going. I mean, it's the new flu.
Yeah. You're right.
We can't just think of it as, we're gonna live with it. But I can tell you, man, just being out now, people we're living with it. We're going on with our lives, but we're living with it, and it ain't over by any means. And I don't know if you noticed this. This is what I noticed this past week. So here comes who? Here comes Dr. Fauci back.
Yeah.
He's been quiet for a while, but now we're going to stir it back up. And whoever's making money, well, we need to put some more regulations out here. We need to bring the mask back, or this is going on, that's going on. But it's just, it's like, okay, we done heard it all, Either we quarantine or we not, but we're going on with it now. And I'm looking out here and I'm seeing, man, I mean, like droves of people on the beaches in Florida for spring break. All of the black kids are down there in Pensacola. And then, and the traditional down around Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and all that stuff going on. People are just going on with their lives. And so if things are as they were, and there is COVID and there is things going on, boy, the news sure does have a fair weatherness about what they cover and what they don't.
Chuck, most of this show, I'm glad you brought it up, okay? And I know this slap, okay, and they're talking about, and the hypocrites of Hollywood have to know that we watched as kids the Street Stooges, people being slapped on all slap, and all of a sudden this slap is different than those slaps. And I know that's but Hollywood is the one that invented slaps like that in public.
Yeah, and boy, do I have some feelings about that. First of all, let me just say this.
Okay.
From our world, there's no winners in this thing.
No.
It's just sad, and it was Black Oscar Day. We had Will Packer was a producer, is a guy that's pretty well known. Been doing, and he had an all black production team, and I mean, to see somebody really commit career suicide or something it's almost to me a little bit similar when Prince went off about his name or whatever because he didn't own his catalog. It's like Will Smith. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things, man. I really feel bad for Chris Rock because he was traumatized as a kid, and what we saw with him was. And I can't think of a better example, but it's almost if you went into a pet shelter and you could tell right away the pets that have been abused, and they're scared of people or shy or something. Chris said, he has a therapist. He said he was abused and beat as a child. And he said, he just froze. He freezes when somebody's like that. And there's a whole lot of stuff going on at the Pinkett Smith house.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole lot, and maybe they don't just want to come out and tell the truth about what it is, because that alternative lifestyle stuff, it comes with a price.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I have some mutual friends. I have some people that know for a fact what the definition of their alternative lifestyle is. And so there's some things that come out, let's say, for, I think it was Jada's 40th birthday, one of her birthdays. He spent 3 years planning a birthday party. And had all this elaborate stuff going on, spent all this money and did all that. And boy, don't you know, when she got home, all she did was tell him it was the worst day of her life. That she couldn't stand it. She thought it was terrible. This whole thing about, the entanglement. I'm sorry, fella, but hey, if your wife or your husband goes out and has an affair, and the person they're having an affair with, they bring them home and make them part of like the family and whatnot, then, what statement are you making? What are you trying to do? I mean, because, that's a bullet to the head in a lot of houses.
A whole lot of houses.
And I mean, it might be murder, suicide, but somebody going down. Because we got the line. Even if I said, you know what, you hear people say, I don't care what you do, but I don't want to know about it. Don't put it in my face. Don't, go do what you're going to do then. If I can't make you happy, then you probably can't make yourself happy. But anyway, I'm getting ready to go deep. I'm getting ready to go deep and go off to some other stuff we go into. But when Chris Rock said the joke, Will laughed. And then the camera kind of backed up and you could see Jada. And Jada's like, oh, hell, I'm sick of this guy. And I'm like, and I want to say, in a way I'm saying, well, Jada, come on now. Who the hell are you? And he made a joke so many years ago when she was protesting and boycotting the Oscars. And and the thing about when a tree falls in the woods, who knows? Who cares? You know what I mean? What difference does it make? But you're so important because what? Your husband on the night of all nights of his career, who happens to probably be one of the all-time top 10 box office generators. Let me just tell you straight up. Both Chris Rock and Will Smith, they are owned. They are owned. They're no Tyler Perry. They're not producing their own stuff. They're not writing their own, signing the check on the front and the back. Those guys get paychecks.
You're right.
It's some serious money at stake here, and if nothing else, so so let's say I'm traditional. I'm like, man, I don't know why y'all trying to make us gay. This is the Oscars. Why are you trying to make us gay now? Okay, so we're gonna be diverse. We're gonna be diverse friendly. Oh, now we gotta be black, and we're gonna be giving out all these awards of these black people. And the award Chris was up there to give was Questlove, which not to say he deserved it or not, but come on, y'all, we ain't got to be measuring our lives off of whether a bunch of white folks recognize you today or not today, or judge whether the quality of your work and what you do. Yes, it's nice and it's great to go to the party and be part of it and be part of the industry and all that, but we're basing it on what do you control? What a part of your own destiny? How much you got to go over there and bend over backwards to please massa? Somebody's going to write you or sign you a check. So for me, it's sad. The whole thing's sad. I still think there's something more to it than what we know.
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I don't even watch the Oscars myself. Ain't all that to you.
Folks, I hate to do this, but we're at 3:04 right now.
Okay, well, anyway, Chuck, give us a wrap up right quick. I'm sorry.
We got some good things coming. We're going to be announcing a webinar with the Nielsen ratings people, talking about big data. We've got a ton of scholarships coming from the American Dream Academy, and we're in talks with a major spirits company about a significant round of grants for businesses. And we're going to be announcing an event in Chicago in July, and an annual conference will be in Peoria, Illinois, in I think late August, early September. So, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity, and it's therapy for us to kind of just share perspectives with each other.
On that note, listen to Fowlkes in USA, hottalkradio.com, Knoxville, Missouri, Chamber of Commerce. We just had a big dessert today. My name is Aaron Folks. That's Chuck DeBow. That's Scott. And that's Real. And we thank you for joining us. Life is good. Have a beautiful